Isaiah Tuck, who currently lives in Gent, West Virginia, says he first started watching the History Channel survival show Alone back in season 2. After many seasons of applying, he finally made the cut to be part of the cast. He was selected out of around 40,000 applicants to be one of season 11's 10 contestants. They face the elements for a $500,000 grand prize. But Tuck tells us winning is about much more than just the money. There's an unwritten title on the line if you enter the winner's circle alone.
Alone is the Olympics in the survival bushcraft world. And so the chance to get to try out my grit and get this experience that you just never have the opportunity to really do, that was a big one for me.
Tuck says his experience in the military and as a game warden, combined with his experience growing up in the West Virginia wilderness, gave him the skills he needs, such as making squirrel traps.
You can come on over and give it a little tug. Easy peasy.
At Talcott Elementary, one second-grade teacher shares his love of local geology with his students, encouraging them to find cool rocks so they can learn to identify them. One day, he discovered 2 of his students had found something a little more unusual than your typical gravel.
I came in my classroom and found a large rock on my back table with dirt and mud everywhere, and I said, "Who made this mess back here?" And I had 2 boys that said, "We think we dug up something pretty cool, pretty interesting."
Liam and Wade also love geology and digging around in the school's playground, where they discovered a rock with an unusual design on it.
Just digging for rocks and fun.
And fossils.
But then Wade found this, and
we thought it was a rock.
Then I pulled it out the ground, and Wade found it.
Yeah, I helped you dig it out.
Along with the songs you don't hear often was a surprise performance with an instrument that you don't hear often, the flexitone, made famous by classic cartoons. But of course, no Lemonade Days festival would be complete without an ice-cold lemonade like this one from Daydream Games. This year's festival attracted some newcomers, including the winners of the lemon pie eating contest and the lemon eating contest.
This is my first time down here to the festival, so I thought, what better way to celebrate than to just get a face full of pie?
It's a bit bitter, but it's also sweet because I won a gift card to Rail Yard, so that was nice.
At a public hearing, the community voiced a variety of concerns over the rate increase, suggesting cutting some of the proposed projects from the plan, such as a new consolidated building for the Bluefield Sanitation Board. However, the opinion unifying those at the hearing was this: the area cannot afford this rate increase.
Lots of people in this community is elderly, retired, or living month to month.
This old building in Richlands, nicknamed the Barn by people who live here, has been housing a feral cat colony for about 4 decades. It's a good choice for the cats due to a water source and good fields for hunting. But now, the new town manager in Richlands is setting his sight on a change, starting with relocating the cats to provide a cleaner space for the town employees who work at the barn. Today, Judah Brooks looks like any other healthy 3-year-old boy. But he wasn't always like this. He was born in 2020 with biliary atresia, and at 7 weeks old had a major surgery that is only successful in about 1/3 of the kids with the disease. Unfortunately, Judah was not one of that third. In order to live, he needed a liver transplant.
I was very scared. I did not know anyone personally who had ever had an organ transplant or another child that had had this same disease. So we were really walking into something that we knew nothing about. So it was really a big learning curve, and a really quick one at that, because we went from a diagnosis to a transplant in less than a year.
"82-year-old Jimmy Hazelwood says he lives in an area with very poor cell service, so when the sound of knocking alerted him to someone outside who wanted to use his cell phone, he didn't give it a second thought.
He came up, picked on all the doors around inside the house and wanted to use my cell phone. And So I thought really he needed it, and I opened the door. And when he did, he kind of shoved his way in.
Hazelwood identifies his attacker, and police are charging this man, Raymond Wayne Reed, with the reported crime. Hazelwood alleges the intruder forced his way in, turning his act of kindness into moments of terror. Mr. Hazelwood says things escalated quickly, saying Reed stole his own weapon, and then he was staring down the barrel of his own shotgun. Poverty and addiction are two big issues facing many in our area, with West Virginia leading the nation in overdose deaths, and McDowell County being one of the poorest counties in the entire United States. It was these issues that prompted one McDowell County native to make a difference, after fighting those battles in her own life for 2 decades.
I struggled in addiction for 20 years. My poor mama, she worked in a bar, and I grew up in it. And I started using drugs when I was 9 years old. I actually used to be homeless right here in this area. I've stayed in abandoned buildings. I've walked this street in prostitution, and I'm just here to reach those same people that are just like me.
After spending most of her adult life incarcerated, a friend turned peer recovery specialist helped get her the help she needed and inspired her to help others in similar situations. She created the faith-based nonprofit Lion of Judah New Life Ministries and hopes to open a long-term recovery home to help those addicted transition back into the world. In the meantime, she is still giving back, holding a giveaway with warm clothes, food, toys, and more. Almost every year since 1983, the town of Bramwell holds a tour of its houses and other buildings, with the Christmas season being an excuse to deck these historic halls. More than 4 decades since it began, the tour continues to attract visitors, giving guests a glimpse into how the millionaires who lived here spent the holiday season.
Because it's been going on for 40 years and people have heard about it and the story continues to build, you don't have an opportunity to see this consolidated amount of grandeur in one small town. And since we have it here, it's worth coming to do.
Second Chance for Cats is no stranger to rescuing strays, housing many felines waiting on their forever homes. But when they took in an injured stray named Sapphire, they had no idea what they thought was a broken leg was actually a broken neck.
This is our first time we have had an injury like this. We've had some broken legs before, we've had broken tails, but we have never had anything that's been this severe.
Sapphire had fractured his C7 vertebra, leaving him almost unable to move. He had to be hand-fed, couldn't use the litter box, and had to be moved often to prevent bed sores. Second Chance for Cats tried reaching out to veterinarians, but were told by all that Sapphire's survival was unlikely.
I told her that the chance of this cat having returned to function was almost zero. And I think I used the term might be miraculous if it would ever walk again.
Dr. French had seen animals with broken necks at the Ridge Animal Hospital in Farmville, Virginia, but says it's very unusual to even attempt surgery. In addition, Sapphire was only 4 months old, meaning his soft, small bones required extra care. However, McDonald told him it's not the size of the cat in the fight, but the size of the fight in the cat.
From the very first day that we got this cat, there was just something in that cat's eyes, and it was like he wanted to survive.
Through incisions in the top and bottom of the cat's neck, Dr. French was able to install a plate on the small spine. He estimated that if the surgery was successful, the cat would be walking within 4 months. Under the watchful eye of his surgeon and rescuers, Sapphire was wobbly walking in 3 weeks.
Elizabeth and her group, I think that they have put in a whole lot of work, and they certainly are, what do they call themselves, second chance? Yeah, well, by golly, that's what they're into, giving cats second chance.
Dr. French says Sapphire changed his outlook on what is possible. McDonald says she hopes Sapphire will inspire others going through difficult times to keep a positive attitude and keep fighting. Here for you in Bluefield, West Virginia, I'm Clayton Mcchesney, WVVA News.